everyone, this is Jen and you're watching BPD Woman. On this channel, you will learn how to more effectively live and manage with your borderline personality disorder, or with your complex post-traumatic stress disorder, or you will learn to become more effective if you consider yourself a highly sensitive person that has trouble regulating your emotions. My goal is to share my wisdom, therapeutic experience, and the nuances of living and managing both of those things while recovering and trying to lead a more effective life living with borderline behaviors. I was diagnosed 20 years ago with borderline personality disorder, and I have most likely lived with the disorder for 30. While I am not a therapist or a counselor, even though I recommend that you seek out a specialist in DBT and personality disorder, specifically borderline, I can answer one question that almost none of those other folks can answer, which is, what is it like to live with borderline personality disorder? I was diagnosed, as I said, over 20 years ago, and since then I have continued to be involved in reading books and filling out textbooks and following YouTube channels and doing multiple rounds of DBT and one-on-one and group therapy. I have a YouTube channel. You get it. I'm pretty committed. I offer positive solution-based approaches to recovery. I never make an attempt to shield that I still deal with problematic behaviors, and in sharing my experiences, I hope that you feel some comfort in knowing that life does get progressively more effective and more enjoyable if you work at your recovery, but nothing's 100% or black and white, and so I hope that brings you some comfort. If you're a family member or someone else who's just interested in supporting someone with the 3 disorders that I just mentioned, or you're interested in learning about these topics from a positive solution-based approach, you're also in the right place. And there is a section just for you entitled Vids and Tools for the Family, and I'll throw up a link. If that all sounds good to you, please hit subscribe and the bell below so you never miss a beat. I produce anywhere from 3 to 5 videos each week, offering something new. Let's get started. So today I want to talk about something that I think almost all of us are experiencing to one degree or another. Some of us may be dealing with it in a more intense way, and that is being fatigued out by the pandemic. And by fatigue, I do mean emotionally, I do mean physically, I do mean spiritually, I do mean financially. It has become a serious drain on all of us. And even if you are in the best financial position, or even if you are living with your family or your friends, or even if you feel financially secure, you are still suffering most likely from some kind of pandemic burnout. And I want to talk about that today. And specifically, I want to talk about that in the regards of having a reckless component, or impulsivity. And so that's the title of today's video, Pandemic Problems and BPD Impulsivity, or recklessness. So in the DSM criteria for borderline personality disorder, there is, I believe it is a criterion for, and I'll throw up a screenshot that states that in order to be diagnosed, one of the criterion for having BPD is this impulsivity in 2 areas of life, and that can be sexual promiscuity, that can be alcoholism, that can be drug use, that can be reckless driving. Essentially any kind of reckless behavior that, or impulsivity in acting on a reckless behavior that could really do damage or harm to you or others. And of course, when you add in other criterion of BPD, like emotional dysregulation, or you add in things like fear of abandonment, or emotional ability, which is the current fluctuating of emotions, you can set yourself up for some, you can be set up for some real problems. And then you throw in a life-changing event like a pandemic, and I'm not even being melodramatic here, but if you throw in a life-changing event like a pandemic, all of those things get magnified. At least they have for me. And recently I was talking to a friend of mine who's a police officer, and there have been a lot of, sometimes I listen to a police scanner, and there have been a lot of hit and runs. There have been a lot of pedestrian strikes. There have been a lot of drunk driving. There was just an article released in the Daily Mail that, last year in the United States, there were 42,000 vehicular accidents, deaths related to vehicular accidents, which is more. And it's even a higher number when you consider that most people have been working from home. And so I was nearly hit walking my dog the other week. I talked about this in a video. By someone who just blew a stop sign and then was indignant and was yelling at me, and I like pounded on her hood, and she was being a bitch about it and she's a fucking asshole. So I finally asked my friend, I was like, what explains this? People are acting crazy, it seems. And so she actually gave me a super thoughtful response. I'm going to put up the screen grab here of what she said in her text message to me, which was essentially people are off. Literally, the summation was because of the stress, because of people being off their regular routines, because people are experiencing more fatigue, or they're abusing alcohol more, or they're stressed, or they're becoming more suicidal, they've lost their jobs, they're literally out of their minds. And this recklessness that they're feeling, this out of controlness that they're feeling in their lives, then translates to things like their interactions with people, and of course their interactions behind the wheel. And so what happens is they take more chances, they run more lights, they simply don't give a fuck anymore. They've given up. And I want to talk about this because I don't know about you, but I've certainly been feeling more of this, like, I don't give a fuck, I'm going to give up. And I want to talk about why that can be a really dangerous path to let yourself continue to think and act on, and what you can do to stop it. So let's get going. So, as most of you know, in a nutshell, I have been financially impacted by the pandemic, and I lost about 70% of my business or my financial income, and I had to start taking up jobs like DoorDash, Grubhub, Postmates, and then I had to get a second car because I was driving much more, and I had to get a more reliable car. And so I took about $3,500 of my savings, which was a big chunk for me, to buy a second car so that it could be more reliable. And so I'm signing up for all of these different apps, and I'm like, okay, things are starting to pick up. Like, I got my first dose of my vaccine. Like, people are starting to go back to work. Things are going to pick up. So I had like a growing sense of like positivity at the start of the year. Like, I bought the car like in mid-January. Well, then, a couple days ago, I find out that my transmission actually needs to be rebuilt or replaced, and I have about 6 months to a year to do that, and that job's going to cost me anywhere from $2,500 to $3,500. At the beginning of the year, I had a $1,000. At the beginning of March of 2020, I had $1,100 in credit card debt. Now I have about $8,000 in credit card debt, and I've been trying to do all the right things, like I take time for me, I exercise, I am working all these jobs, and I just seem to keep getting pummeled by either bad news or bad circumstances. And it really impacts my ability to keep up with a positive face and to keep going. And I'm going to give you some examples now of how this has been starting to come out as a result of my impulsivity and anger and this giving up idea. I'm going to tell you how that's come to fruition for me. So as I said, I've had a positive attitude. I keep at it. I'm cognizant that I'm not complaining as much. I'm thankful for things. I get out there. I'm essentially working every single day to meet my bills. And I still don't feel, and I'm getting more, financial troubles, and I'm getting more obstacles. And, at a certain point, I'm like, world, what else the fuck do you need from me? Like, I'm giving you everything. I'm obeying all the rules. I haven't turned to a life of crime yet. I'm trying to be positive. I'm not gaming the system in any way. And although I'm being fair and doing what I need to do, I feel like the world in return is betraying me. And maybe that sounds melodramatic, but you know, I live alone. I don't have anyone financially to support me. And I feel already a sense of disconnectedness from people with my borderline. I find it hard to relate. I find it hard to keep relationships going. I fear they'll leave me. And then you add an isolation to that, and it only really kind of exacerbates the issue. And so what's that's done is it's started in the mind, and it's led me down this rack of no one likes you, you're still a mess up, like, oh, every relationship ends after 2 months. Sometimes they do. You're never gonna get ahead, why bother? And it leaves me feeling really depleted energy wise. And so yesterday I was out making deliveries, and I started working with I'm not going to say which one, but one of these apps for food delivery. And it's food delivery. And I swear to God, like, I get more emails and texts from them than like a real job. And, you know, I don't mean to shit on these like food delivery, but like, it's not a real job. Like, you know, like anyone with a face and who hasn't committed murder can like sign up for one of these apps. It's, you know, like there's no big vetting process, right? It's not a big, you're just delivering pizzas. It's not a big deal. So it's like they're texting me, they're emailing me, oh, here's how you do your ratings, and here's how this, and it's like I don't care. Like, I'm just trying to make money, right? Like, I get the food. I've been doing this for a year on other apps. I get the food, I deliver the food, they give me a tip, it's over, right? So yesterday, I was completing one delivery, and then I go to the restaurant to complete another on this app, and they're like, you were 11 minutes late to the restaurant. This is extreme late list, and this is a contract violation, and we are going to have to review your account. And like, literally, I've only been delivering with this app for like less than a week now. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, first of all, when I got to the restaurant, even though they said I was late, the food wasn't ready. So let's put that out there. And then when I got the food, I delivered the food immediately, and the guy tipped me like $17. So I don't think he was unhappy. The only one that seems to be in a pinch about anything is this fucking app. So like, we're gonna have to review it. And so I call, and I call the help center, which apparently I can only get in contact with at limited times. And I'm like, and I just started to lose it. You know, I was like, if you're gonna bully me, I was like, you know what? Yeah, deactivate me. And, you know, and this whole time, I'm like, you need this job, you need this money, you know, don't blow it. But then on the other end, I'm like, I'm stressed out. I'm just trying to make a buck. I've delivered the food. They're happy. What's your problem about it? You know, and I'm like, go ahead. Like, oh, they'll be in touch. I was like, you know what? This is not a real job to me. Like, this job is beneath me. I'm only doing this because I'm desperate. And now you think, what, we're going to have like some HR interview process? Like, go fuck yourself. Like, fucking deactivate me then. I don't care. I'll sell feed online, or I'll deliver with Instacart. Like, who cares? And you know what? These gig economy jobs, they don't care. You're just another face. They can get another person. They don't care, right? And so that I've been noticing is so this is one incident, right? Of like this kind of impulsivity and this anger like bubbling because I feel so pressured. And the other incidents are sometimes like when I'm driving and I'm just like, you know, people want to be jerky or they don't want to cut you off. And it's like, again, like I'm being calm in the car. Like, I'm not speeding. I'm letting people go in front of me. You know, I'm trying to get where I need to go, and people want to be, again, just like my friend said, like they're reckless or they're out of their minds. And sometimes, you know, like they want to block me in, and I'll just sit there in my car and I'll be like, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna attack this person. I'm gonna punch this person in the fucking face. I'm gonna key their car. I'm gonna do something. You know, you want to watch me be crazy? Okay, watch me be crazy. You want to push me? Like, I'm at this point where I'm like, how much more do you think one person can take? And then you add in this aspect of your emotional ability, and that I've used this analogy before, like you have emotional fibromyalgia. So right now it's sunny outside, right? Like maybe the average person could go outside for an hour and not get a sunburn. I could go out there for 10 minutes and my shoulders would come back red. Literally, this is a physical manifestation of like how much more things appear to me more sensitively than, say, the average person that doesn't have borderline or some emotional dysregulation disorder going on. And so I haven't punched anybody in the face, right? I've yelled at people, yeah. I haven't done anything illegal, but I can feel myself getting there. And that's a dangerous place to be. So, you know, we've acknowledged that there's stress. We've acknowledged that there's money. You know, I've acknowledged to you that, like, I'm trying to do the right thing by staying on top, by going out and working, making a plan, showing up, you know, trying to stay positive. And that all's not working all of the time. So how can I stop myself then from being impulsive and then creating an even bigger issue for myself? Let's talk about that. One of the first things that I keep telling myself, or usually, you know, other people will point it out to me, is that, you know, I'm not alone in this situation, you know, this financial situation. I'm not alone, which, you know, does help me feel less self-centered. And, you know, I mean, obviously you can always find someone who has it a little bit more difficult than you, right? I could be living on my own with 2 kids to support, and then where would I be, right? So then it could be a lot harder. But honestly, that doesn't bring me too much comfort. Okay, great. Like, they're suffering. All right. Well, I'm glad but we're not all in this together, are we? You know, excuse me. We're not all in this together though, you know. I'm delivering food every night. Are you delivering food every night? You know, I'm really in the hole with credit card debt. Are you really in the hole with credit card debt? Like, I don't know. I don't know that we're really in this together. It's a cute little sign that people put on their lawns, but it doesn't really mean anything. Okay. So how then can I get something in my brain, in my life? How can I apply something so that I don't tip over to that next level? Well, the answer is this. Asking yourself, what is going to be the consequence of this behavior? You know, what is going to happen if I get out of my car and I punch this person in the face? What is going to happen if I yell at this app on the phone and they deactivate me? What is going to happen if I lash out? Now, obviously, I already lashed out at the person on the phone. Okay, you know, some things like are worth it to me, you know, like to stop being, you know, bombarded with your emails and texts every day for just delivering food, or to, you know, not be hovered over like a contract violation. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, okay, well, yeah, it ain't me, boss. It ain't me. So I still obviously have the other 2 apps though. So one of the things that I encourage you to think about is, what will be the outcome if I follow through with this action? So what would happen if I get out of my car and I start a fight with someone? Well, most likely 3 dash cams are going to capture that, including my own. I'm going to get arrested. I'm probably going to be pulled from the app so that I can't make money. And then who's going to take care of my animals at home if I can't make bail? You know, that's really going to create more of a problem. So stopping and thinking about, like, okay, is what I'm about to do about to create a bigger problem for me than just kind of like backing away, driving off, finding a distraction point? You know, it's something to think about. The second question to consider then is, where do I want my energy to go for the day? You know, do I want my energy to go through punching this person who's being a dick on the road? Yeah, it would probably give me a great sense of like satisfaction, but briefly. But is that where I want my energy to go? Do I want to hurt another person? How am I going to feel about that later? Probably really bad. Probably like then nervous that like I'm gonna get arrested, or like something's gonna happen to me, or that I'm gonna get a bad reputation, right? I don't want to hurt anyone. But the point of this video is being able to tap into these extreme stressors that are going on right now, and being cognizant of the fact that with somebody with borderline, you already have some impulsivity issues that you're trying to work on. You already have emotional lability, and emotional lability is this frequent change of emotions up and down. and that it can be very difficult for you to regulate yourself when you have this emotional fibromyalgia and you feel things. I mean, this has been just scientifically proven. You feel things at a more intense level for longer than people without these personality disorders do. And so the idea is, again, you want to ask yourself, what is going to happen if I act on this? What is going to happen if I act on this? What bigger potential problem am I going to get myself into? Or what am I going to lose? What will I lose if I act out on being impulsive? You know, is it worth it? Think about that, you know? What would you lose if you acted out on your impulsive behavior, whatever that may be for you right now, whether that's smoking a pack of cigarettes, whether that's calling off of work, whether that's, you know, punching your boyfriend or girlfriend in the face, you know, or I'm not saying that that's right. I'm just saying, think about what the consequence is. What's the consequence of not going to work? What's the consequence of yelling at somebody? Is that where you want your energy to go? And is that going to work against your long-term goals of financial stability, of working better towards your goals or more effectively towards your goals to recover from borderline? Is it going to work against you? Think about that. How will that make your self-esteem feel at the end of the day? You know, this is a really fucked up time in this world, and it's tough. I mean, I feel extremely fragile lately. Even though we're at the tail end of this, I still feel really overwhelmed by bills. I mean, like really I mean, I have thought like just escaping the country, you know, just starting over somewhere else. It's really been stressful. And, you know, I don't have a family that I'm in contact with. I don't feel like I have a lot of close friends, and the friends that I do, I don't feel like I want to overburden them with some of these issues, and then they get scared away, and then I have less friends. It's like, I feel like I'm constantly trying to keep all of this in check, and it's really overwhelming. It's so overwhelming, and I understand how overwhelming it is, and I don't have all of the answers for you for how to make it better right now, right away, but what I can offer you is advice on how not to make it worse, and that includes asking yourself, what will happen if I act on this impulsivity? Think about that. Next time you're in that flooded, emotional, dysregulated state and you're getting ready to act out on something, think to yourself, if I lash out at this friend, if I lash out at this job, if I punch this person, what will happen? And how will I feel about that later? Will that set me back on my goals? My name's Jen. You've been watching BPD Woman. Please comment, like, share, subscribe. Did this video ring a bell with you if you've been feeling emotionally overwhelmed from the pandemic? Until I speak with you next time, and everything you do, please be effective. Bye-bye.